Bendjy Charles is a unique 20-year-old from Haiti. He is on the advisory board for the Park Hill-Algonquin Community of Opportunity. To know and to see him, you would think that he was a mild-mannered person, but he has a lot to say as he shares his experience through this video photo voice.
My name is Bendjy. I'm part of the Park Hill and Algonquin Community Member Board. And a while ago, Miss Bendjy, which is our coordinator, or basically everybody's boss in this case, asked us to do a photo voice. I had to give it a lot of thought, and I wanted to take a picture of the Wahida site, but I could not find the perfect opportunity to actually take one. So one night I ordered an Uber. While I was driving past it, I took a picture of it, which is it right here. The reason why I took that side of it is because I used to live in Kentucky. In 2014, my dad brought me and my sister and my stepmom to the US. I didn't understand nothing, and we were living in South Carolina, and then by some miracle, one of my dad's cousins said, why don't you just move to Kentucky? And then we moved here, but when we got here, life said that I'm gonna punch you as hard as I can. And then while life threw the punch, instead of letting it take my whole family, I decided that I should just take it. And then I took the punch, and then I left my dad and my siblings behind. I moved to Maryland. And then again, my dad said, this time around, you're gonna come back home. But if life threw a punch, we're gonna take it together. And when I moved back in, my dad kicked my stepmom out and took me in. When I moved back in, I finished high school, and then I wanted to start off college, but I wanted to start off college on my own with what I wanted to do. But I had my dad telling me, you gotta be a doctor or you gotta be a pastor. But what I didn't understand at the time was that he did not want me to be a pastor or a doctor. He was trying to tell me what options I have in front of me. But because I didn't understand what he wanted me to do, I found every single thing that I could possibly think of to make myself not want to be a doctor nor a pastor. My reason for not being a doctor was I don't like blood. For pastor was I don't want to lie to everybody that comes to my church every now and then. And then for some reason I graduated high school and I wanted to go into cybersecurity because I wanted to understand what goes in through with my phone. Like I have a phone right now, I wanted to know like if I turn my phone on, what makes it work? If somebody hacks my phone, how can I stop that? But what I didn't understand was, and Steve Harvey once said that, is that you gotta stop figuring out the how of your life and just let it happen. I wanted to figure out my how and forget that there's a being higher than me figuring out for me. So I went into cybersecurity. 2 weeks into cybersecurity, life threw me another punch. It said, this is not for you. I didn't decide this for you, so what are you doing studying it? And then it wasn't until January 1st, 2021, that I got a call from somebody that talked to me, and he said, you came here to choose a path. It's not gonna be different from the path that your dad rode, but it's gonna be better and bigger. I said, what are you talking about? I'm still 15, I'm still 17, I'm still trying to make it. He said, you have siblings, they all looking up to you. Do something so that your dad can look you and say, I made that and he made this. And that your siblings, or better, your children can say, my dad did this too. My grandpa did this. And your siblings can say, my brother did this. I'm gonna try to do it or I'm gonna better it. My very first day of college, I decided to go to Sporting University. My very first day of college, I passed through the Wahida site and I said, God, that's a big site. I said, why can't God give me all the money in the world and let me put a soccer pitch right there? Or better yet, just put a hotel or something that makes sure that the site is not like it is now. And then I looked at my dad and he looked at me and he said, what are you thinking about? I said, nothing. Then I keep driving by it, and every time I drive by it, there's something that keep telling me something's gonna happen. And then somehow, some way, I forgot about it. And then again, whenever I was going to college, to my classes, this is the road I take to go and come back. But there's another road that I take to come back. I don't go through it when I'm going, but when I'm coming home, I go by it. There used to be a big building in front of it, but now that building is demolished. I pass from it coming home every day while it was being demolished. I cannot tell you what was going through me or through my heart at that moment at all. All I could think of was a building is being brought down, a history is being demolished. But at the same time, what I've realized is that in order for you to build something new, you gotta let go of something. Which is why whenever I have a friend comes into my life, I put out every guideline that I can possibly think of. I think of every scenario that I could possibly think of, or reason why it's not gonna work, until they prove to me that it will work. So when I saw that building going down, I said, this is gonna be a nightmare, because that building has a history, and now that history has vanishes. And then while it was being torn down, you could see that there was a huge basement, and now the whole building is gone, and the only thing you can see is the space left empty. While I was going through that, the dean of students at my school introduced me to James Beckett. He said, we heard that you're a sporting student, you're criminal justice. He said, what do you want to do with that major? I said, I want to be a lawyer. He said, I'm a lawyer too. I said, I'm probably not going to go to the lawyer type that you are. You look like a businessman. I don't trust business guy too much. He said, I don't need you to trust me. All I'm telling you is that I'm a lawyer, and I want to know who you are. And I said, what's going on here? He said, remember the opportunity that your dean of students presented you? I said, yeah. It says something about parking on Algonquin, and I don't know where that is. So what's going on here? Those are all going in my head because I cannot say it out loud. It's a job, and I'm like, I need to get money. I need to pay for my clothes. I need to pay for that. So he looked at me and said, we're trying to revive a neighborhood that has been left for dead. And then he looked at me, he said, you're from Haiti, right? I said, yeah, I'm from Haiti. He said, are you hoping to use your major in any way for your home country? I said, yes. And then we started talking. And then at one point, I don't know what went in my head, but I said, I'm gonna go and try for the process to see if it's gonna work. I didn't understand if it would work. When he said, you're gonna get paid to help us with this and that, I was like, oh man, this is fake. It's not gonna work. I started getting discouraged because I really sincerely thought this whole thing was gonna be a fake. And then I walked in through the first meeting. And then I don't know what I was expecting. I was expecting to have like probably 5 people showed up. 5 would have been a miracle. 2 would have been expected. 1 would have been, yeah, that's what we're expecting. But 40 people, close to 40 people showed up to the meeting. And once they showed up and he told them what it was about, it's not like they showed up and said, we don't trust this guy, we don't like what he's talking about, we're gonna all go home and never come back. They came, they sat down, and he got up and he said, look, I don't need you to trust me. All I want you to do is come along in this journey, and you're gonna see where we are now and where it's gonna take us. And along the journey, you will see whether I'm worth it to be in here or if I'm not. And he said, I promise you, this you will not regret it. At that very moment, I said, this might be, I need to stop treating this like I'm getting paid for it and treat it like it's a dire situation for me. Because what wakes me up every day, I wake up, yes, it's because I want to do better for my dad, for my siblings. But what makes me sad, it's time to get up. When the alarm rings, what says, Bendjy, it's time to get up, is that I have the hope and the dreams that one day I can go back home and use all that I have learned here and apply it where I'm from for better. So if this can help me in any way, it will be like a gigantic step that I'm taking forward. And what's even more amazing is that whenever I have a question about how he started this, like what struggle he had, he would pick up the phone and talk to me. And I have done it. On a Wednesday afternoon, I called him from 4. We talked till 6. He told me step by step what I gotta do. Which is why I took in everything he said, I wrote them down, and I started taking my step based on the advice that he gave me. And I wrote these 2 words here. When Miss Bendjy asked us to make the photo voice, she didn't say put in words, but she did say, tell us why you put the pictures. I do have the story here, but the words are make space and take space. I've realized that if you want to do anything, you gotta, something has to go for something to become again. Just like every year we get a brand new iPhone or brand new computer, it's because the old one is still useful, but at the same time, in order to make a new one, you gotta somehow let go of the old one. Which is why I believe that if you hold on to the past so much, you're never gonna be able to go forward in life. So while being on this journey, I've learned one important thing, which I wrote on the paper once, is trust is not built, it's earned. Which is what he's doing to all of us. See, I didn't trust this at all. I'm being completely honest with you. I did not trust this at all. I thought it was fake. I thought I was being scammed. I'm being honest with you. I thought I was being scammed right here, right now. When he said, you're getting paid this much per hour to do this. I said, what am I going to do? He said, you're going to be part of the board. You're going to take everybody attendance. I said, okay, that sounds like a fair amount. What else am I going to do? He said, you're going to come in, you're going to watch and see. The money sounds okay, but this doesn't sound so real. But when you come in the room, it's not an empty room. People don't just come and sit down. Yes, he pays them, but in a way, I didn't understand why he pays them either, because that kind of troubled me. When he said everybody that comes to the meeting is getting paid, I was like, people are going to be driven by money to come to all those meetings. And then he said, you're getting paid, not because I want to pay you for opinion, but if you're going to come to a meeting from 3:30 to 6 or from 5:30 to 7, you're leaving out a job or something that could earn you money. And once you come here, you're leaving your child behind and your job behind, where you could be making $10, $12, $15 an hour, but you're coming here instead. So in one way, this is not a job. I'm taking your opinion, but I gotta give you something back in return to make sure you know that your time was not worthless. So when he said that, I was like, huh, that is new. Because where I'm from, you don't pay people to show up to meetings. You just pray and hope that they will show up. And in one way, you could see it in his eyes. He did not pray that they would show up. He had the confidence in him that they would show up. That's one thing that I did not have, the confidence that they would show up. But everybody did show up and did come to the meetings. And when they did come to the meetings, it wasn't like they came just to sit down, eat food, and then leave. No, they came down and talked and had real discussion. And what I've learned is that you can start off small, but you can get bigger as you grow. What I mean by that is, throughout the whole board, the very beginning, I was the youngest kid in there. I was 19 and I was the youngest. And it wasn't until Ron and Bruce said, and then somebody else in the group said, where are the youths? Because even though I'm 19, I was 19 at the time, I'm 20 now. Even though I'm young, yeah, I am. Somebody just said I look 40 years old. I don't know how, but anyway, even though I'm young now, at one point I will become older. There's got to be somebody else. Even though now it can be my time to take it up, but as a way of passing on what's good and living off all that's bad, there's got to be something that's taking all the good and making sure that all the bad is thrown away. Just like a great grandpa will keep cussing at a kid, and then the grandpa will start saying I love you to the kid, and then now the father, instead of saying I love you, is saying I love you and encouraging that new kid. That way, since I'm here, I'm taking that in, but there gotta be somebody younger than me that comes into the room and takes it all in, which is where Bruce and Ron came in and brought so many kids, where the youngest one we had celebrated their 5th birthday, and the kid did not even want people to know that it was his fifth birthday, but when we all sang him happy birthday, you could see the joy in his eyes, which made us feel like we're doing something. I know 5, 6, 7 years old, they don't understand much, but I gotta be honest with you, when I was 5, 7, I remember specific detail about my childhood. And if there's gonna be something specific that they understand, we want it to be that there was a group, there was a people, there was a house, there was a building that a lot of people gathered in that said, we want to change our mind community for the better so that I and my children can move for the better too.